Part 2 to quiz 6.1a. This is question 6, 7, 8, and 9. Alright, in number 6, I look at this question and the first thing I notice is that there's nothing in common. This is one term, this is another term. They're separated by that minus sign, but they don't have anything in common, nothing for me to factor out. So I'm going to change everything to sines and cosine. Cosecant is 1 over sine x. Secant is 1 over cosine x minus, remember this is still together over here, tangent x, which is sine x over cosine x. Right. And then I notice that I have fractions, so I'm going to have to combine them. I have cosine in common, but this one has sine. This one does not. So I have to give this one sine. And we do that by multiplying top and bottom by sine x. Now they also have sine in common, so now we have a common denominator, sine x cosine x. And my numerator is going to be this one, minus these two, sine squared x. And if you go to your identities, this is cosine squared x over sine x cosine x. You have two cosines, one cosine, so they cancel. This is a 1. This is got a remaining cosine x. And so we have cosine over sine. And this is cotangent x. And that would be the answer. This is question number 7. And the first thing we notice is that we can substitute for the top one. 1 minus sine squared x is cosine squared x. Cosecant squared x minus 1 is cotangent squared x. And so now we only have one fraction, so what we can do is we can go to sines and cosines. The numerator is already in cosine, so we're going to leave it in cosine. We're just going to write it over 1. But the denominator is the cotangent, so that'll be cosine squared x over sine squared x. Okay. So we're going to keep change flip. We're going to keep the numerator. And we're going to multiply by the flip of the denominator. Now we're multiplying. Now we can cancel. And you get sine squared x over 1, which is just sine squared x. Okay, here we go. All right, for number 8, we have to simplify this. And remember, we have a minus sign, so that means we have something separating our terms. And the first thing I notice is that I have cotangent in common. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to factor the cotangent, so I'm going to remove it. So what's left over when I get rid of the cotangent? Well, have to remember that this is technically, remove the 8 as well, 1 times cotangent x. So if you get rid of the cotangent x, right, not get rid of it, but factor it outside, there's going to be a 1 left over in its place. You bring down the minus sign, and what happens when you take out that cotangent x? Well, cosecant squared x is going to be left over. And then you notice your identities, that the cotangent squared x is, sorry, here we go, cosecant squared x minus 1, but it's backwards, so we have to take out a negative sign. Alright, to make this one look just like the identities, we got to take out a negative sign from here. So it's negative cotangent x times cosecant squared x minus 1. Now you can substitute it, right? So negative cotangent x times, this becomes cotangent squared x. And you can multiply those, and you get negative cotangent cube x. Alright, for this problem, it's already one fraction, so we're going to rewrite it in terms of sines and cosine. Cotangent is cosine theta over sine theta. Tangent theta is sine theta over cosine theta. We're going to keep change flip. We're going to keep the numerator. and we'll multiply, and we're going to flip the denominator. It's multiplication, so nothing cancels, so we go ahead and multiply across. Cosine times cosine is cosine squared theta, sine squared theta. Cosine over sine is cotangent, so this is cotangent squared theta squared, because you have two of them, right? This is your final answer.